sure. So how are you feeling knowing that the world is about to see, one of your
moment that every producer and director waits for is for the world to see their movies. And this one, I think, is something that is going to be spectacular in the theaters, and audiences will just walk out feeling like they've had this wonderful, extraordinary experience of the lives of Katia and Maurice. So we're very excited.
And I think what makes it so interesting is, of course, there aren't many documentaries out there about volcanoes, let alone a volcanic love story, but it is unique. Their story really hasn't been told in the way that it needed to be told up until this point of this documentary.
Absolutely, and I think it's something that we worked very, very hard on and trying to understand, what is so unique about their story. And it's this triangle, this love story between Katia, Maurice, and volcanoes, which, is so resonant today. For sure, because we all are deeply concerned about nature and our environment, and also about humanity.
Yeah. Not to be too dark, but I was just talking to some of the women that you've worked with, just everything that's gone on in the last few days. It's like, I was thinking about doing this carpet. I was so excited to talk. It's mainly women working on this, and now it just feels like such a step backward. It's shocking how, there are no words for what's going on. So how are you dealing with what's going on in this country right now?
Well, you see, I'm Canadian, and I live in Montreal.
Okay.
And so I have a bit of an outsider's point of view.
Australian, yeah.
And I look at what's happening in America, and everyone says you shouldn't be shocked, but I am shocked, because at the end of the day, going back 50 years, I grew up in the women's movement. My mother was a feminist, and this is what we fought for. And I look at, I have a son who's 27, and his friends, women who are, now living in a society which, doesn't respect the rights of women. And, getting back to the film, I think that Katia, for us, was a very important role model. A female scientist who was out in the field, who was passionate about her work and passionate about her life and passionate about her partner. And I think, hopefully, I don't want to say we can forget what's going on now.
No, but it's important to have some escapism.
But it's important to also put life into some perspective, and to realize that it is worth it, and that there is hope. We have to believe in that, right?
Yeah.
Despite what's gone on in the last week.
Yeah. And I think what I found the most interesting about their story is when they were talking about how they kind of move in the rhythm of the world, because they go to the volcanoes that are about to erupt, and it kind of had me asking the question what an amazing thing to move with the rhythm of the world. That was my favourite part of the film. What's your favourite part of the documentary?
That's a really difficult question.
I know.
I think that seeing them, how they changed people's lives, with their science and with their passion, for me, was the most moving part of making this documentary. This wasn't, this was not a pursuit just for two volcanologists. It was a pursuit for everyone that's impacted by nature, by our world. And that is what struck me the most.
And I think what's so special as well, even all these years later, that their legacy is still helping people, still teaching people, and now there's almost a whole new generation that have been born and that are learning because of what they did and what they discovered.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of great science, is that, people like Katia and Maurice, they probably always knew, or at least he did, that they were going to die in a volcano, as morbid as that's going to sound. But they cared so much about the greater good and humanity. We have to be thankful and blessed by what they did.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think that they have tremendously impacted, science and how we live in our world.